All right, welcome back to math today. You should be on page 234 looking at this pile of pennies. All right, those of you at home, today we are going to start using fractions to help us understand decimals. All right, and decimals we know are like the change on a dollar. That's a decimal. So up at the top, says you know how to write equivalent fractions with denominators of 10 and 100, right? We worked on that hard this week. In this lesson, you'll learn another way to write these fractions. So take a look at this problem. I need a reader to read about Mr. Max. Noah?
Max has 248 pennies. How many whole dollars does Max have? What fraction of a dollar is left over?
Okay, 248 pennies. Someone explain to me, how is that shown on this picture? How do we see 248 on that picture? Emma?
Is 200
Okay.
and 47 the bottom?
Close, 48, but yes, you're right. So this has 100 colored in, this one has 100 colored in, and this one has 48 colored in, so if we add them all together, we have 248, right? So they showed us this correctly. So let's take a look at A. How many pennies are there in $1? Cadence? 100, okay? Pencils ready, my marker's ready, we're all writing for A. There are 100 pennies in a dollar, we all know that. B, how many whole dollars can you make with 248 pennies? Let's answer that first. How many whole dollars can I make? Chloe? 2. So 2 whole dollars. Let's write that first. And then the second part asks, how many cents are left over? Abby?
48.
Okay, so we have 2 whole dollars, 48 cents left over. All right, everyone with me so far? Okay. C, 1 cent is equal to what fraction of a dollar? So we know that there's 100 pennies in a dollar. If I only have 1 cent, what fraction of a dollar do I have? Josiah?
1/10.
Would that be one dime?
1/100.
Good, 100th. 1 over 100. Right, and that makes sense. If I had 100 pennies, I would have 1 full dollar. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. And now D. If 1 cent is 1/100th of a dollar, which Josiah just confirmed that it is, what fraction of a dollar is 48 cents? I've got 2 hands. I've got 3 hands. I've got 4 hands. Liam, what do you think? Okay. So remember, 1 cent as a fraction is 1 over 100. What would 48 cents look like? Emma?
48 over 100.
Yep, 48 hundredths. All right, now a lot of you didn't raise your hand for that one. Now that you see the answer, does that make sense? If I only have 48 pennies, well, that's 48 out of 100 pennies. That makes $1. Okay, I've got to move my page up just a little bit. Would someone like to read E? Liam, go for it.
How do you write this amount of the whole dollars and fractions of a dollar as a mixed number?
Okay, I need to erase some of this out of our way. But I will say, I'll write this back up here so we can still see it. 48 out of 100. Okay. How do I write this amount of whole dollars and fraction of a dollar as a mixed number? So first, how many whole things did we have up here? How many whole dollars? Abby? We had 2 whole dollars, right? There were 2 full grids all the way colored in. That's our whole number. So we need a big 2 for our whole number. But they want us to write a mixed number. So what fraction of a dollar do I have left over? Hayden?
48.
48 hundredths. So that's our mixed number. 2 and 48 hundredths. I have a question. When you go to the store and buy something and get a receipt, is that what they say your change is?
No.
2 and 48 hundredths?
No.
How do they show you your change? Anytime you talk about money. Hayden?
They say like $2.48.
Okay. Do they use something like a decimal point?
Yes.
Okay. So when I would say, let's say I bought something and it's $2.50. Well, I could say it's $2.50 out of 100, but that is not how we write it. So let me show you. This would be $2.50. Okay? Decimal. These things mean the same thing, and this is what we are working on today. Okay? So our last question down here, how do you write $2.48 using a dollar sign? So this is how we would actually see it as money. Cadence?
$2.48.
Exactly, okay? So the $2 part, we just put our dollar sign in the front. You can do one line or two. I've always done two. That's just my preference.
I do one.
$2. Okay, then we need our decimal point. That's what that is called. Okay, we're not going to call it a period. That's what we call it in math. That is a decimal point, okay? And Cadence said we need 48 cents after it.
I always do 2 lines.
Yes. All right, so I'm going to go scroll my page. You're going to turn your head to the other side. Go ahead and start looking at that picture and seeing what you think while I get my paper ready. Okay. All right, now on a page like this with a lot of words, is it harder to pay attention?
Yeah.
So, get your head in the game, okay? I need you to focus. Look at the pictures. Tenths and hundredths can be written as decimals, okay? We've been doing them as fractions, but they can also be written as decimals. Here's another way to think about the fraction 48 hundredths. All right, in this picture, it is kind of hard to see. So those of you at home, I am going to show you the outline of the shape. All of that is shaded in, okay? On this picture, what's different? What they do differently here? Abby, what do you notice?
There's a bigger, for 4 lines, there's no squares in them.
Okay, so they did some columns of 10, right? And then this last column of 8, they still kept split up. So hopefully you guys can see that. Yeah, that's a little better. Okay, so 4/10, written as a decimal. First we're going to write it as a fraction. So somewhere on this side of your paper, get your pencils ready. 4/10, normally we would write it like this, right? So everyone write that down first. And we're going to figure out what we would do to write that as a decimal. So 4/10 equals, does anyone see what it says up top here? Abby? 0.4, okay? So write that down first. I'm going to take a look. All right. Now here's the cool part about this. We say this fraction 4/10, right? Right? We say this decimal 4/10. We say it the exact same way, okay? So at least that part's easy. You don't have to change the way you say it. How do you guys think I would write 1/10? Any guess? If I wanted to write 1/10 as a decimal, what do you guys think? Angie?
0.1.
You got it. 0.1. And we say that 1/10, the same as the fraction. All right, let's try another one. What if I had 6/10? How would I write that as a decimal? Hayden?
Well, you would write it 0.6.
And then how would I name it?
6/10.
We say it the same, so it almost gets kind of tricky, right? So I could say, Hayden, how do I write 6/10 of the decimal? And you'd say 6/10, Mrs. Hare. But 0.6 or 6/10. Okay, so we can go all the way up to 10/10. Let's do 9/10 real quick. If I've got 9/10, someone real quick, tell me, what would that be as a decimal? Josiah?
0.9.
0.9? All right. Now, let me think about 10/10. This is kind of a thinker. Think about it a minute. 9/10 was 0.9. 10/10. Think about what that actually means in real life. Cadence? Good guess. No? There actually won't be any decimal on this number. What do you think, Hayden?
It would be 0.1.
Not 0.1. Think about what 10 over 10 means.
It's
No?
1.
It's one whole thing. All right. So this is just a little overview, okay? Decimals, you could already tell me all the tenths all the way to here. And then you might get a little confused, but that's what we're going to keep learning on.
What if you had an improper fraction?
Hold on. We're not quite there yet. So now you kind of know what a decimal is. So let's keep reading on here. Down here, not up here. We kind of explained that on our own. So they said we have two whole one things, which the other picture, I can't see it anywhere on your first page. We had two whole things, decimal point, 4/10, and 8/100. Okay, now is when I need you to make a little chart in your book. Anywhere where you've got some space, maybe down here, make a little box, because we need to make a tiny chart. Everyone ready?
Ding.
All right. So you're going to put it on your paper. I'm going to write it larger so everyone at home can see it too. Decimals have place values just like whole numbers. So first, I'm just going to write a number. I'd like you to copy it down. Let's do 4,312, decimal point 31. Everyone, please write that down. So I've got 4,312 and 31 hundredths. Go quickly. Angie?
Are we going to have a test tomorrow?
No. Just stay on topic, please. Some people in the back of the room aren't participating, so I would expect to not understand this later. It's your job to listen. All right, so first thing, we're just going to name all the place values of the ones we already know. Okay, so let's start with the 4. What place value is this? Cadence?
1,000.
Thousands. I want everyone to write this with me. You can turn your paper to the side if you need to. If you need to abbreviate, that's fine.
How do you abbreviate?
You could put thou or something. So you know what it means. All right, we know that's the thousands place. The 3, what place is the 3 in? Liam?
100.
Hundreds. So you can write hund or something. I'm going to write hundreds. I've got space. Okay, so we've got our thousands. We've got our hundreds. This first one right here, what place are we in? Angie?
10.
Tens.
You don't need to abbreviate.
All right, hardest one, this 2. What place are we in? Josiah?
1.
Ones.
Why did you say harder?
Because I like to be sarcastic sometimes. All right, now after the decimal point, I'm going to put one down here. Does anyone remember what we call that place? It's the same as the fraction. Abby? It's kind of an uncomfortable word to say. We all practiced it. It ends with a th.
1,000.
Not that one.
100.
Not that one. Earlier. Tenths. Okay? This 3, the first place beyond the decimal point is the tenths place. Okay? Not the tens. That's over here. The tenths place. Okay? You got to get the ths in there. And like I told you, a tenth in a fraction form, we say it the same as a tenth in decimal form. All right, so this is tenths. Okay, we don't have a ones in decimals. It's kind of interesting. There isn't. So if the decimal point's in the middle of our number, shh, please stay quiet. When we spread out past it, when we go this direction, do our place values get bigger?
Yes.
All right, good. When we go this direction, our place values get smaller. Okay? So I'm going to write that down. You can if you'd like to. All right. So in this problem, we had 4 tenths, right? Everyone look up here. 4 tenths. So that's why it was in the tenths place. In the same place as the 3 we have here. It's the first place to the right of the decimal point. Okay? But then we have 8 hundredths. They can't make up a whole 10. Are the hundredths the next place over in our pattern heading that direction? Yeah. So up here, our example, this 1 is in the hundredths place. Don't forget the THS at the end. So everyone, please write this down for sure.
How is the 1 the 100?
Right, hold on. I answer questions when hands are raised, and I'm ready to move on. So first, just look at this. It goes ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. When we go backwards, past our decimal sign, to not whole numbers, you have to just memorize this, okay? The first place is the tenths place. The next place is the hundredths place. As you get older, do you think numbers stop here, or do you think they keep going?
Keep going.
They keep going. So you don't need to know this yet, but you'll get to the thousandths place, okay? It keeps going. It keeps going. So, I know they're kind of fun, hard words to say, but make sure you don't call them the tens and hundreds, because that's not correct, okay? 1 second, and I'll take some questions. So, when you are writing decimals in 4th grade, you are responsible for knowing the tenths and the hundredths, okay? Question, Noah.
I bet that place value gets smaller if you're going backwards.
It does. So let's think about it like money. If this was money, this would actually be 30 cents, right? And this would be 1 penny.
But it's 100 pennies.
It's in the hundredth place. We haven't even finished the lesson, so that question is kind of ahead of where we're at. Angie?
Which place, how do your place values get bigger?
All right, well, as we go this direction, if we think about it, if I have 1 piece of candy, that's kind of a small amount of candy, right? If I had 1 in my hundreds place, that would mean I have 100 pieces of candy, right? And if I kept going, what if I had a 1 in the millions place? Would I have more candy? I'd have a lot of candy, okay? So when you move this way of our decimal point to the left, our place values get bigger. And we've known this all along, right? We've studied place value. After your decimal point, it's kind of like the opposite, though. The further away from my decimal point I get, if my number kept going like this, we're not going to do this year, thank goodness. But each time I get further away this direction, my number is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So it's kind of like your decimal point is the middle. These numbers get bigger as we go. These get smaller as we go. Okay? But I don't need you to know any of this. Today, all we are focusing on is tenths and hundredths. And at this point, you barely even know what those are. Okay? So let's go on with our lesson before we have too many more questions. I need to scroll back up before, real quick.
On the right hundred, does it go some million?
I don't even want to talk about that anymore. I just wanted you to realize numbers keep going. This is enough for us to focus on today.
Is there such thing
Okay.
as million?
Yes, but we're not going to go on with that today. Josiah?
How is hundredths small?
We're going to keep going over that, okay? Let me finish my lesson so you guys can see it. I need to scroll up. Okay. So let's finish talking about this, then we're going to get whiteboards out and I'll show you many examples. All right, to read the decimal, 2 and 48 hundredths. Whoa, I'm sitting on my eraser. Whoops. So this is just going to help us learn how to say the numbers, so as we practice, we can say them. Okay, so eyes up here. I know this is not like a rock show. It's not super exciting, but you got to pay attention. So first, you always say the whole number, okay, which is not hard. 2, the decimal point means you say and. That's all you got to do. So 2 and 48 hundredths. Okay? So let's all practice it together. I'm going to say it one more time, then on the count of 3, you all say it with me. 2 and 48 hundredths. 1, 2, 3. 2 and 48 hundredths. All right. Nice job. So I need you now, close your book and grab your whiteboards. Friends at home, do the same. We're going to do some practice out of the book, which I think sometimes is a little more clear. All right. Thank you, those of you who are staying quiet. Shh, we don't need a lot of noise. Just get your whiteboards. Yes.
Mine's missing again. And I've looked everywhere I put it.
Okay. So I'm going to leave this up here so we can continue to see our place value chart. But the first thing I'm going to do is draw a money amount, and I want you to write it on your board with me. So when I make dollars, we're just going to make boxes, okay? And I'll put the amount in them. So you need to make 4 dollar boxes. This one's going to be $5. And then we've got 3 ones. So you don't have to make your money fancy. That would take too long. So we've got a $5 bill and 3 $1 bills. All right. And instead of making coin shapes, I'm just going to write the letter, okay? So a Q is a quarter. So I have 2 quarters, a dime, and 2 pennies. So write all that down first on your board. All right, now we need to decide how to write this amount of money down. And I know this isn't your first time around with money. And could someone please raise your hand, and if you remember, if not, don't raise your hand. Before we left for school at the end of last year, had you gotten to money in 3rd grade? Quentin?
Yeah.
Okay. Josiah, you remember it as well?
Yes.
Okay. So, first of all, when we write a decimal, we need to write the whole number first. So how many whole things do we have? And by that I mean whole dollars. How many dollars do I have? Emma?
8.
8. Okay. Does everyone see where we got the 8? We have $5, 6, 7, 8. I just added up my whole things. Quentin?
You should use a green marker for the money.
I could have, yes. All right, so we have $8 for my whole number. What do we have to separate the whole number from our decimal? Josiah?
A decimal point.
A decimal point. All right, decimal point. So that is in the ones place. Everything over here is like a fraction. It's less than one whole thing. All right, now we need to count how many cents we have, okay? I've got 2 quarters, which is 50 cents, right? I have a dime, which is 10 cents. And I have 2 pennies, which is 2 cents. So we can add all that up. Some of you might be able to do some mental math.
Where'd you get the 10?
1 dime. 2 quarters, I added that together in my head as 50 cents. 1 dime and 2 pennies. So when we add this all up, we should get 62 cents. So thumbs up if you got the same dollar and cents amount that I did. Okay. All right, so now how do I add my 62 cents down here to my money amount? Cadence?
You just put it like after the 8.
Yeah, we just copy it straight down. So, 62. Okay, now it's money, so we know we put the dollar sign in the front. Do I also put my cent sign at the end?
No.
No. Okay, you don't have to do that. So you get rid of the cent sign.
Girls are learning money.
$8.62. All right, now while we're reviewing this, someone tell me what place value is the 8? Abby? Ones. Just ones place, normal number. Okay, now we're going to go back 1. What's the first place value in decimals? Noah? Tenths. Okay? Everyone in this room, I need you to commit that to memory. The first decimal place to the right of your decimal point, right here, tenths. Okay? And if you need to write that again, if you think it would help you remember it, go for it. That's my tenths place.
So the number after the point is the tenths place?
Yes. Now, we're going to draw a little picture to show why. I'm not going to make you draw the 8 whole things, okay? Let's pretend they're on our paper because that's a lot of work. But we are going to draw one grid, okay? Make it into tens first. We did one of these yesterday. So remember, if you split it in half first and then put 5 columns on each side, that's the easiest way. Doesn't have to be perfect, just do your best. It is a smart idea to count. Make sure you got the right amount. All right, now here's where I'm going to show you why it makes sense that the 6 is tenths, okay? So, if I want to shade in 6/10 of this picture, how many columns should I shade? Hayden?
6.
6, okay? If I had 6/10 written like this, wouldn't I be doing the same thing? Pay attention. A lot of you are just kind of glancing around the room. I hope at home you're paying attention. 6/10 can be written also as a fraction. So if that helps you, think about 6/10 just like a fraction. I need to shade 6 of my 10 pieces. So let's all do that together, best you can. Remember, you don't have to be really neat until you're at the last. I need to know definitely where you ended your shading. All right, so down here I have 6/10 shaded. And remember, that number means the exact same thing as this 6/10. We say them the same, they mean the same thing. Does this part of our picture make sense so far? Okay. Now we have to take care of our hundredths, and I think you're about to see why it's a little bit different. If I need to shade in 2 hundredths, let me write my label. Can I just shade in 2 more of these columns for my hundredths? Think it through. Before anyone blurts an answer, pay attention, think it through. I shaded 6/10. 2 hundredths, wouldn't that look like this? So I can't shade 2 entire columns, right? That's way too many. What about this? If I did split my grid up into 100 squares, I'm not going to do the whole thing. Could I shade 2 more? To show 2 hundredths?
Yeah.
Okay. So 2 100ths, just like we wrote a fraction, is represented like this. If I don't have any tenths, I have to put a placeholder 0 and put a 2 for my hundredths.
What's a placeholder?
A placeholder 0. I do use that word a lot. If I put any other number here other than a 0, it would mean that I did have some tenths. And if I only have 2 hundredths, I don't have any tenths, okay? So we are about to make a very big number line. Let me check our time. I think we have time really quick to try this, okay? So on your boards, erase. Noah, important?
I understand you put the TH there so it doesn't mean like 100 would be like the whole board.
Right.
If you put 100, that's only 1 out of 100.
Nice job. Okay, so Noah just had a light bulb moment. It'll happen for all of you. This is a whole new concept. So erase your board. This is going to be a quick final exercise. You guys at home, if you don't have a whiteboard out by now, make sure you pause and go grab one. All right. So I'm going to leave that up there. I think that's helpful. Okay. So make your number line. Try to go all the way across the middle. We have plenty of room.
Like our whole board.
Pretty much, yes. Okay. Now, first thing, I just want to put, let's put 0 right here. Kind of in the middle. All right. So, if I go up, I have 1 thing, right? 2 things, 3 things, 4 things. These are whole numbers. You following so far? Okay, some of you haven't written a thing on your board. Please do so. If I go backwards, well, no, I don't, I'm sorry. I want the one, guys, I am sorry. I'm distracted because people walked in the room. Let's start at 0 on one end and put 1 way down here. That's what we need to be doing. All right, my halfway point. How do I write my halfway point from 0 to 1 as a fraction? Cadence? Well, how do I show half of something? 1/2, okay? So I'm going to put all my fractions on the bottom. What about right here? Let's say this is 1/4. And let's put here that we've got 3/4. All right, somewhere along here we've got 1/10. We've got 2/10. Just write these down. I'm just going to show you a few numbers as they would look as decimals. All right, first thing, 1/10. If I want to write 1/10 as a decimal, we should know that because I've been saying it all day. We write it the same way as the fraction 1/10. Any idea? 1/10, Josiah?
0.1.
Nice job, because we're still learning. You got it. 0.1. Those mean the exact same thing. Okay? So you have to remember that.
What means the same thing as?
1/10 as a fraction is the same as 1/10 as a decimal. Okay? And this is saying like I've got 10 cents. That's what 1/10 is. How would I write 2/10 as a decimal? Emma?
20 cents?
It'd be 20 cents or 0.2.
2.
All right, what about 1/2? Think very carefully about 1/2. What do you guys think? We're halfway to 1. Hudson?
0.5.
0.5. All right. We're going to keep working on this more tomorrow. But I just want you to see some of the fractions you already know. 1/10, 2/10, 1/2. You already could do those. Would 3/4 feel a little bit hard to us at this point maybe? It might, okay? But if you think about money, if I have 3/4 of a dollar, I know I have 75 cents. Did anyone else think kind of like that when you thought about 3/4 of a dollar? So if I know I have 75 cents, how would that look as a decimal? Noah?
0.7.
That would be 70 cents.
0.07.
Good guess. That's kind of what we're going to get into tomorrow, okay? So today was just the very basics, okay? We can write 1/10 as a fraction, as a tenth, like a decimal. 2/10 as a fraction, 2/10 as a decimal. So we will keep going with this practice, but great job, okay? That was your first decimal lesson. You'll all be experts soon. Those of you at home, thanks for joining. We will see you later.